follow-up? Meaning I wouldn't call somebody and hang up the phone and then a minute later send a follow-up email.
Well, you should send it by the next day. I would say if I meet you during the day, I should send you a follow-up that evening.
So there's no too soon, like within the hour is too soon.
Well, within the hour is too soon. I would say within 24 hours is reasonable, but absolutely fine.
Yes, but like let's say you tried to do networking, but you were still learning, and it's like you haven't really contacted those people. Is it like too late to still?
Well, no. What you would do is, if there's anything that I can teach you, if you don't walk away with anything out of this class that I say, out of this meeting, seminar, tell the truth. People are really very understanding. And you could just say, you know, I met you 3 weeks ago, and I happened to go to a class that was offered in networking by one of the professors in my school, and I realized that I should have followed up, and I did not. Please forgive me. Most people melt when you say, please forgive me. However, I would like to keep in touch. And if you remember anything about the conversation with that person, maybe what they're interested in, you might find an article and say, and by the way, when we did meet, I know you told me you were interested in XYZ, and I found this great article that I thought you'd really like. Okay, so the person says, all right. Oh, so they really did pay attention. Okay. Yes.
So you said don't take a business card unless you're sure you're going to follow up. But if you happen to run into someone...
No, I didn't say that. I said when you take a business card, it is your responsibility to follow up.
So what if you run into somebody and you're talking and they hand you their business card but you're not interested in their services?
Well, you might not be interested in their services, but you don't know who they know. And that's, thank you, say that nice and loud. And that's networking. Because sometimes you might not be interested in what they offer. However, they know people who know people who know people who you might want to get to meet. Yes, Mike?
When you're writing a thank you letter or emailing on someone, and they introduce themselves by their first name, are you going to address it to Mr. or Mrs. whoever, or?
Yeah, you asked that because I'm big on formality. Part of it is because I'm old, and part of it is because I think it's the appropriate thing to do. Always address, especially if it's someone older and someone in business, address them by their first name, until their last name and their title, until they tell you to call them by their first name. For instance, Dr. Devereaux. For years, I called him Dr. Devereaux. Professor Devereaux. And one day he was just like, bang the table and says, my name is John. However, to me, he was my boss. That was the respect that I gave him. Now, many of you who will start to call me by my first name, in fact, it's really funny because if Wilma happens to be in the room, we will both look at you and half the time it comes out together, Professor Miller. Now, why do I do that? My name is Denise. However, we need to maintain a formality of relationship. And I need to, this is a part of my training tool for you. I mean, when I was born, the doctor didn't slap me on the butt and call me professor. You know, my name is Denise. However, there's a formality that you need to maintain, and part of my job is to teach you to do that. Okay? And so, if a person, once a person says, call me by my first name, then you can do that. Now, one of the things I would caution you about, whenever you're addressing someone in writing, even though they say, call me by my first name, I would call them, if they're of that title, dear Mr. Murphy, because you never know where an email message is going to go. You might send him something that he thinks is really interesting, and he may forward it on to someone else. And you don't want to appear disrespectful, so it's better that when you're addressing somebody in writing, that you address them by their title, dear Mr. Murphy, dear Ms. Jones. And then if it gets forwarded on, then you appear more disrespectful. You don't appear disrespectful, you appear more respectful.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have a business card, but it's not really to like watch that right now. business card for them. Can I have that? Should people
Well,
have
it
a business
depends.
card?
Sometimes you want to keep them separate. And you might want to keep them separate. Because if are you a finance major? Would you be comfortable with someone from Citigroup having that on a business card? So you answer that question. You need two separate cards. Two separate holders, different colors, so that you know which is which at a glance. Actually, what I had done is at one point I had 3 different business cards. The cards were all differently colored. Like one was white, one was gray, like a light gray, and one was off-white. And one of them was not a horizontal card, it was a vertical card. So, and that's how I was able to just look in my bag and pull them all out. And I have a system. Okay, when I go out, this is usually my little networking handbag because it's not big. Yes.
How do we make business cards?
Oh, Vistaprint or internmatch.com. They're both very inexpensive. You're paying essentially for the shipping. You can also get them made at Staples, but only when they have a sale. Staples isn't cheap. So if you see a sale, then you do it at Staples. Yeah. Vistaprint.com. VIS like Sam, T like Thomas, A print.com. A lot of times you'll see their